Travelling around the world alone, a daunting prospect for most people. Tony Giles, though, took it all in his stride, despite being completely blind and almost entirely deaf when he doesn't wear hearing aids.
Tony hasn't let any of this hold him back, though. So far, he's visited 125 countries and travelled across all of America's 50 states and crossed the Arctic Circle. It's extraordinary. We'll speak to Tony in just a moment. First, let's have a look at when the BBC's travel show caught up with him. This is in Jerusalem.
I see a place through my senses. I see a place by the sounds, by the smells, by the textures. The hustle and bustle, people shouting, buy this, come and look at this. I feel the atmosphere, I feel the energy, the buzz. Oh, I like this. I like the atmosphere and the smells, and it's all close and compact. Feels authentic.
Tony Giles joins us now on the sofa. Tony, good morning.
Morning. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming in on it. This is a great story. You've travelled around the world on this adventure. What inspired you to do it?
I went to a boarding school for blind children when I was about 10, 11 years old. And my dad was in the Merchant Navy, and he told me his stories about travelling around the world. And then I sort of wanted to go home and see my family. So I sort of got mobility training as a young child, learned to use a long cane and eventually catch buses and trains. I sort of started from there. Then I got go to the States with the school when I was 16. And eventually I did an American Studies degree and studied in the States.
Tony, we saw a little bit of your trip to Jerusalem then, and people, if they haven't seen it, you just overcome everything in your path. You don't let, awkward situations or geographical scenarios bother you the remotest.
No, I just want to go out and have fun. That's my challenge, going from A to B, meeting people. People say, oh, you can go, why go and travel the world if you can't see? Well, seeing's not really about looking at places, it's about meeting the people, eating the food, the culture, the music.
So, Tony, how do you, what senses are you using, and how are you using these senses?
So I'm
to
using
experience?
all my senses together. That gives me a sort of 3D picture of what I'm walking through. My sense of smell, I'm walking through a market and smelling some spices, onions, cooking meat, all that kind of stuff. The, people talking in different languages, and obviously in Jerusalem, Hebrew and Arabic. I'm feeling sort of the space as I'm walking through markets or narrow streets. I can sense it's like small and really narrow, then I can come out just like a big square. Hence the wind picks up and the air is different. So, and obviously if I'm walking up a hill, I can feel the gradients or different textures under my feet, cobblestones to gravel to dirt, whatever. So yeah, all of that sort of combined gives me a sense of what I'm experiencing.
And Tony, what we're seeing now is the zip wire. You're on a zip wire. We're just showing the pictures there. Where was this?
So that's in Costa Rica a couple of years ago. So yeah, sort of shooting through the jungle in tropical Costa
Well, it's
Rica.
an extraordinary image we can see there. I mean, can you describe the sensation, what it was like for you?
Well, you're sort of shooting along a very thin wire, sort of in the middle of the air. Sort of got a sense of there's trees around you, and it's quite hot. It's thrilling. The energy is sort of flowing through you, and you're getting faster and faster, and then you're sort of like trying to anticipate when you're going to sort of run into the next tree and the next platform.
Tony, we saw pictures of you bungee jumping as well, and all of this makes me think you need to trust people around you.
That's right. I've been having to trust people ever since I was a young child. Help people cross me the road safely. Particularly, the most difficult things for me travelling is getting money out of cash machines. So I need to find people in the accommodation I'm staying in and people I meet, and sort of listen to them, see what their character's like, and trust them to help me get money out of cash machines. I have been robbed and stuff. It happens. It's part of travelling, whether you're blind or not.
Have you found that people are, just generally, and you'll know this because you've travelled across the world, are people better educated? Are people more understanding, more willing to help?
It depends where you go. In places like the States, people are more open-minded, they talk to you and stuff. It's getting better in the UK, but a lot of people still sort of walk past you on their iPhones, minding their own business. You go to somewhere like Central Europe, Eastern Europe, they're not used to seeing disabled people on the street. So they don't interact as well. They're not as confident to come and help. But most people want the help.
Are there, Tony, places now, and we're seeing some of the places, we're seeing the Arctic Circle now as well, the stills images, the photographs there. Are there places on your wish list that you still want to go to particularly?
Yeah, the rest of the world. I've been to 125 countries so far, unofficially. And officially, according to the UN, I've been to 110. So I've got another 83 countries on the UN's list and another 150 odd on my list.
Where's next on the list for you?
Probably Lebanon and possibly Iraq, and then going to Russia in April.
What would you say to anyone, that, regardless of any disabilities, any emotional concerns perhaps about travelling, what would you say to them in terms of tackling that?
I would say read my travel books, TonyTheTraveller.com and Seeing the Americas My Way. And I would say that if you want to go and travel, go out and do it. Research, do your planning. If you're worried about going by yourself, go with someone. And I started off in countries that I could speak the languages, like America, Australia, New Zealand. Once I was comfortable and confident, I ventured out to more challenging places like Thailand and Vietnam.
Favourite
it can
place?
Be done.
Favourite place so far?
New Zealand. Yeah, it's the best country I've ever been to. It's crazy. It reminds me of England a little bit. The weather's cold and wet, but there's less people and they're more friendly.
It's been lovely to see you here this morning. Thank you so much. And it's an inspiration. Your travels will be an inspiration for so many people. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.